Welcome back to another TheeSportsScoop video. Today we're coming at you with our divisional predictions. There are wild card picks. Me, Charlie, and Dylan were nail on the head with that Giants game. Very excited that we had that win. My name is Kean McDermott. I'm joined by Charlie Nidell and Suraj Kadali. No Dylan today, but he will be there for the AFC and NFC championships. Boys, how are we feeling?
Great. All the teams are dwindling down, and I'm finally at a stage where I'm still paying attention for my team.
Just make sure you guys comment your picks down below. We'll be getting, obviously, we've been saying once the NFL season ends, and before that, we're going to be getting mock drafts out. Draft content will come out, which is arguably our most favorite time of the year. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, game number one, Saturday, 4:30 p.m. This may, and I want to hear what you guys have to say. This may be the easiest game to predict, as we have the Jaguars facing the Chiefs for a shot at the AFC Championship. Surge, I'll go to you first. When you look at this game, obviously Jacksonville, quickly before getting Jacksonville, with a Cinderella story comeback in Jacksonville. They're down 27 to, 27-6 at half. And they obviously, I know the Chargers had 27. They come back, win the game 31-30 on a game-winning field goal. Trevor Lawrence obviously had the 4 interceptions, but still looked great. 4 interceptions, 4 touchdowns. Obviously, you saw what Zay Jones had to say about him, saying Trevor Lawrence is such a good leader. And I think it's just obviously fantastic to see Doug Peterson comes in, Trevor Lawrence having a transformational season in his second year in Jacksonville. And the Jaguars are at a position where none of us thought they would be at the beginning of the season. Obviously, the Chiefs expected, but Surge, I'll go to you first. Is it just as simple as the Chiefs are going to win this game?
No, because the Jaguars, along, I would say, with the Niners and the Bills, are one of the hottest teams in the NFL. And Kansas City, like I said, they're the 1 seed. It's at Arrowhead. They've got the best quarterback in the league, the best player in the league. But Jacksonville are coming in with a ton of momentum, especially now after coming back from 27 down against Los Angeles. I don't think they're scared of any position at this point. At this point, no matter how far they're down, they believe they can still win this game, because that obviously is an incredible comeback. And they've got a quarterback right now, Trevor Lawrence, who has been a top 10 quarterback this year. I think he is a top 10 quarterback at this point. They've got weapons on the offensive side of the ball: Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, obviously ETN making that huge play at the end of the game. You've got Doug Peterson, one of the best coaches in the NFL this year. He's been absolutely brilliant. And a defense that isn't great, but they've been finding themselves the past few games. They really stepped up in that second half. So they played complete ball in that second half. If they can play that way against Kansas City, they have a chance. That being said, Patrick Mahomes has been near invincible at Arrowhead. His first playoff loss, I believe, was last year in the AFC Championship. Oh, no, sorry, his second, because Brady was the first. But his second playoff loss was only last year against Burrow and the Bengals. So I think this should be a very interesting game between two teams I feel like on paper are really close. But I would say the difference is Patrick Mahomes, and he is going to make plays that even Trevor Lawrence can't make. And I think obviously the home field advantage will be the difference. So give me Kansas City, but I think it will be close. I think Jacksonville are going to keep it to a 1-score game.
Yeah, so this is one I have a tough time with, not because I think this game could go both ways. Keen, you asked, is it as simple as the Chiefs are going to win this game? And to that, I'm going to say yes, because I do believe that, I would bet, tons of money on the Chiefs taking this game, because I think that the Chiefs are the clear favorites in this game, and it's going to be so near impossible for the Jaguars to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. That being said, I don't think it will be a blowout. I think it will be a close game, but a close game at Arrowhead in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to have a hard time winning that if you're not the Chiefs. And I think I only see one result coming from this game, and that's the Chiefs winning, but I definitely can see it being, a 4-point game, a 3-point game, something very close. I think Trevor Lawrence will do a really good job keeping it more low scoring than the Chiefs would like. I think, we could see teams score. I think we could see a 24-21 game. I think something in the more low scoring category for the Chiefs. The Jaguars could dominate time of possession, but at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is so hard to beat that I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. And Serge, you guys are fantastic points. I think going into this, I was definitely closed-minded. I thought the Chiefs would go and take this one handedly, but I think you're right, Serge. Thinking about it on paper, these teams are very similar at The one key position, though, is quarterback, where Trevor Lawrence, yeah, Patrick Mahomes is quite clearly better. That's no hate on Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, as you said, has had a revolutionary turnaround to his career. And even during the season, like the beginning of the season, he started off
Yep.
slow and he's been fantastic. But I think it not only Patrick Mahomes, I think it comes down to Travis Kelce. And I'm going to give the viewers the boring answer. I think it comes down to experience. And unfortunately, Jacksonville don't have enough. That being said, Doug Peterson does. So it could very much be a game plan. Not very much. Obviously, game plan is vital in the NFL. So I think it's a close one. And Charlie, to your point, I think this one, out of all these, this one I think is going to be a shot for shot game. I think we could see this game going to the 30s because I don't think either of these defenses are particularly good. And I think both of these offenses are going to be firing. That being said, though,
yeah.
I could also see it being a Chiefs run away with it in the first quarter. I think that could be very much, and it's not where the Chargers, where the Jaguars are able to catch up. But I think if Jacksonville can score when the Chiefs, obviously it's that simple, but you're scoring touchdowns and the Chiefs score touchdowns, you're making that stop here and there. I think the Jacksonville have a very good shot. And Serge, I love you're talking about how Patrick Mahomes is invincible at Arrowhead, which he is, but the Bengals got it done last year. And I think you can look at similarities between the Bengals of last year and the Jaguars this year, in terms of just the story that they've had throughout the season, just so unexpected to be in this position. That being said, obviously we've all praised the Jaguars very much, but we go pick the Chiefs. That's going to be my pick. But I would love to see Jacksonville win this game. And I think you guys have definitely put into my mind that they have a shot at winning this game.
Yeah, so I mean, if I can add on to, so I agree with you. I think it could definitely be a high-scoring game because neither defense seems like a top defense and or capable of stopping offenses. But we saw the Chargers defense put the Jaguars in a complete box in the first half last week, and I think that this could be a game that, and this like could sound really crazy, but I think this could be a game that it really matters who gets ball first.
Yeah.
I think if the Chiefs get ball first, it'll be a shootout. I think if the Jaguars get ball first to open out the first half, they could really wind down the clock and they will go into this game with a game plan of keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands. And they'll try and do their best to execute that. And that could keep this game lower scoring. That being said, if the Chiefs get the ball first and take an early 7-0, 14-0 advantage, this will be a high scoring game.
Yeah, good point. But we'll move on now, Charlie, to the game that I am so excited for. Saturday night, 8:15 p.m. The New York Giants face the Philadelphia Eagles NFC East clash in the divisional round. And I think a lot of people are going to go into this thinking, a lot of, I guess, obviously me and Charlie are a little bit biased. A lot of, supporters of not the Eagles or Giants are going to go into this and think this might be the easiest game to predict. But I think if you've been watching the Giants, I really think this team can go and make a run. I think that this team against the Vikings, who I do think were a little fraudulent, and I think the Giants exposed that very, very much. But this Giants team is so poised. It is a poised offense. It is a Daniel Jones that I am still a little shocked when people are complimenting Daniel Jones, like using Daniel Jones as like a good thing to talk about. And I just think you look at a guy who's been so lethal on the ground. Saquon Barkley is so good. And I think for how injured he's been, it's taken me a while to remember how good of a football player this guy is. He is incredible play. He is, I like, again, this is the Giants bias, but this guy is so electric, impossible to tackle one-on-one. He is just so good. And all credit to Daniel Jones. And obviously, Brian Dable is the reason this is all happening. But Daniel Jones, you look at the receivers he has, not Isaiah Hodgins. It is Isaiah Hodgins. Forgive me. I thought that was someone else. But Isaiah Hodgins, fantastic. I believe he had over 100 yards. He looked great. Coming off the Bills practice squad and stepping up. It's just a team that it's again, Daniel Jones has finally figured out how to work this system. Again, I'm praising my team. I'll give it again. Obviously, the Eagles are no joke. This team's beaten us twice. This team, you can argue, has been the best team in the NFL for stretches. They have been no short of fantastic either this season. It's going to be a tough task for the Giants. This is going to be a very hard game to win. But I think if we can win this game, I think we can go to the Super Bowl. So it's a tough one. I'm going to take the Eagles, and I don't like doing it. And, I love my Giants, but I took the Giants against the Vikings, and that was a little bit of a stretch. I'm going to take the Eagles here, but I think this is to me, like the Vikings game, this is 100% 50-50. These teams know each other better than any other opponent they could have gotten. But I'll stop blabbing on, but I'm going to go Eagles here.
Yeah, no, I think the really important thing you just said right at the end there was that these teams know each other.
Mm.
These teams play 2 times a year every single season, and they've played 2 times already this season. And with a coaching staff for the New York Giants that I would say is a top 5 coaching staff in the NFL, including, just the entire staff right now, they're gonna have a game plan coming to this game that is ready to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Nick Sirianni has also been one of the best coaches in the NFL this year. Definitely, in that race for coach of the year. I think this is in many people's eyes the 1 versus 2. For me, it's the 1 versus 3, maybe the 1 versus 4.
Yeah.
But Sirianni is up there in that conversation. The Eagles coaching staff is also incredible. So they will also have a game plan based on what they've seen from the Giants. Now, a big key for the Giants will be, again, keeping the ball in Daniel Jones's hands. Daniel Jones has been the best offensive player for the New York Giants this season, in my mind. Saquon Barkley has been incredible, but what we saw last weekend was Daniel Jones carrying the ball 17 times against the Minnesota Vikings,
Not a
and
massive fan of
Saquon only
that.
getting
Not a huge fan of that.
not a massive fan, but
Yeah.
if it's going to win us games, it's
Yeah.
going to win us games.
Right.
So Saquon Barkley only 9 carries and very efficient on those 9 carries with 2 touchdowns. But Daniel Jones ran all over the Vikings defense, and we only saw Daniel Jones run 4 times against the Eagles. In the one game he played against the Eagles, obviously was benched for the Week 18 matchup. I think that'll be a big factor. Talking about Saquon Barkley, I was talking to Dylan, other co-host, earlier today. Dylan, not a Giants fan, he's a Miami Dolphins fan, uh, openly said that Saquon is the #1 running back in the National Football League. And I could not agree more. The things
Yeah.
that he's doing with the Giants right now are unmatched by, I believe, every other running back in the NFL except for maybe Christian McCaffrey.
Mhm.
McCaffrey's been super influential with the Niners. But Saquon Barkley is easily a top 3 guy in the NFL. So I think when you have 2 weapons like that, it's going to be difficult for the Eagles to stop, especially now that the Giants have found more of an identity in how they want to run their offense. Daniel Jones running the ball, Saquon Barkley getting his touches, receivers who are capable of making big plays. Isaiah Hodgins, as you said, over
Mhm.
100 yards last week. He's been massive for the Giants since he was picked up off the Bills practice squad. Richie James has really turned it around for the second half of this season. Darius Slayton, we know he's capable of making a big play. And I think that the Giants will give the Eagles a very, very good game here, which we didn't do really the last 2 times we played them. And the Eagles, this is going to be my hot take of the video. And everyone can feel free to roast me for this take in the comments if this goes badly. But I think that Jalen Hurts is the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. I think that Jalen Hurts has taken everything they've given him this season and has done really well with it. But what they've given him this season is the easiest schedule in the NFL. And that's not something to look past. And Jalen Hurts has played really well. And for a while, he was an MVP candidate. But I think he was doing it against teams that, weren't capable of defending him and Miles Sanders and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And when you look at those weapons, what quarterback can't have a good season?
Right.
Those are 2 of the top receivers in the NFL, one of the best running backs in the NFL, and Dallas Goedert at tight end and a really good offensive line. I mean, Jalen Hurts has everything around him. I wonder what it would be like with somebody else in that position. So I think Jalen Hurts is one of the most fraudulent quarterbacks in the NFL. Still a good quarterback, but MVP race, it was never him in my mind. And I'm gonna stop blabbing on and on and on about this. I could talk about this game for hours. Just because I'm a Giants fan, I'm gonna pick the New York Giants, but this is by no means just a safe pick. New York Giants. I could totally see the Eagles winning this game. I'm just picking
Mm.
the Giants for the sake of picking them.
Well,
Yeah,
Surge, here you go.
yeah. Um, for all the reasons that you just stated, Jalen Hurts, top 5 offensive line, top 5 receiving core, good running backs, good defense. That's exactly why I'm picking Philly. And it's no
Yeah,
disrespect to the
that
Giants
makes
because they've
sense.
had an amazing year. They've punched well above their talent level, and they're just going to get better and better as they continue to grow. And this is supposed to be a rebuild year, but they made the playoffs. They made the divisional round at
Yeah,
least, and they could win this game because they have the talent on the defensive line. They have guys that are really stepping up on the offense. But I just think Philadelphia are just too much for New York. I think offensive line. I think Philly's offensive line is going to win the battle of the trenches, and if they do that, I think it's too much for the Giants to handle. I think Philadelphia will win. Not as much as they won in the first matchup. I think it'll be a bit closer because the Giants are a bit healthier, but I also don't think it'll be a one-score game. Philly probably comfortably by 2 scores.
There we go.
I
I
hate you, but
like,
yeah, understandable.
understandable. We'll move on now back to the AFC where we have the Cincinnati Bengals facing the Buffalo Bills, which I think will be the best game of the weekend. Sunday, 3 p.m. I mean, it's just that kind of matchup is just going to produce fireworks. Obviously, the Bills having a little bit of trouble against Miami, which is definitely a little concerning. I thought this team would be the best team in the playoffs. They would get through every single team. This is a little worrying for me. If you guys pick, I want to hear what you have to say, Serge. We'll go to you first because me and Charlie were chatting it up about the Giants Eagles. When you look at this game, do you find it really that, this is a tough one?
Oh, such an even game. I think the Bengals are a better team than the Bills because I think defensively is where I thought the Bills have had the advantage. But since they've lost Von Miller, I know they might be getting Micah Hyde back, which will be huge, but they have looked very soft, very easy to throw the ball against. They let Skylar Thompson lead team. I know I guess 24 because Josh Allen did allow a fumble return for a touchdown, but they allowed 24 points against the Skylar Thompson led team. And they just looked very, very beatable. And they left a lot of plays on the field that could have happened with a better quarterback like Tua in the game. So I do not trust that Bills defense. The Bengals defense ain't that great either, but I think right now they're at best even, if the Bengals aren't better. I think receiving wise, I think since you're better too. So I feel like if this was in Cincinnati, to be like Cincinnati. But I just feel like it is so hard to go to a Super Bowl one year and go back to the Super Bowl the very next year. And I feel like Josh Allen is going to have that game where he just turns into classic playoff Josh Allen, where I know he hasn't been to a Super Bowl, but if you check the playoff stats, he has been statistically one of the best playoff quarterbacks ever. And I think he had a very slow start against Miami, and I think that's because subconsciously Buffalo overlooked Miami. They thought that was going to be an easy game because they had their third string quarterback in, and it turned out it wasn't like that. But I think Cincinnati, they're going in, they know that they're probably being doubted at this point the way they played in the first round, but I think Josh Allen's going to show up. I think Stephon Diggs is going to show up, especially going against Eli Apple. I feel like that's a huge mismatch and very, very close because I think these are two elite teams, but give me Buffalo in a shootout.
All right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's, definitely a good shout. Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a shootout here. I think these are two very high-powered teams. Surge, I know you disagreed with me on this earlier. Some friends also disagreed, but if I'm rebuilding a team from scratch, I'm taking Joe Burrow over Josh Allen. I prefer Joe Burrow as a quarterback. I think he's
Wow.
much more mistake-free than Josh Allen, and we see Allen have bad games every few weeks, which maybe not as often as every few weeks. And all the Bills fans, you can chalk it up to injury this season. But I take Joe Burrow. I think he is the better quarterback for rebuilding a team right now. And, he's not exactly the reason that I'm going to pick the Bengals in this one. But I think, as you said, Serge, the Bengals have a better team than the Bills. I take the Bengals in this one. Just, it's going to be a shootout. Last possession is going to win it.
Yeah.
Just give me the Bengals. Why not?
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think this is, like you guys said, this is going to come down to a field goal. I don't see this being a blowout on either side. I'm going to go for Buffalo here. I mean, again, and I don't want to bring it into this. I just think the Bills have that extra motivation because of obviously DeMar Hamlin. And I think, no matter what, it's going to be tough to see the Bills lose if they do lose, especially just because of what happened, especially against the Bengals where this happened, which I literally just noticed. So this, I think, and obviously in no ways is the Bengals' fault, obviously, but I think there's going to be, they played against this team when that obviously tragic event happened. So I think there's going to be that much added motivation. And I don't want to use that as the only reason why. I just think when it comes toe to toe, again, I mean, Charlie, like you said, I think there's a very good argument that you can argue Joe Burrow is a more poised quarterback when it comes to close games. But, Josh Allen is also, I think it's, kind of toe and toe. But I'm going to go Bills here. I think the Bengals can win this game. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if you look at betting odds or just, consensus and the Bengals are the favorites in this one, just because of how much the Bills struggled against a Dolphins team that they should not have. But we'll move on now to the last game of the weekend, Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. We have the Dallas Cowboys against the San Francisco 49ers. As much as I hate Dallas, props to them. They got the job done easily against Tampa Bay, which we all thought would not happen. I had the Bucks, Charlie. I think you had the Bucks.
The Cowboys.
You had the Cowboys. What a
Wow,
smart guy
awesome.
you are. But they face a very good 49ers team. Does the playoff jitters hit Brock Purdy in this one? Charlie, I'm going to you first.
This is actually a really interesting one to me. I had no trouble picking the Bucks over the Cowboys last weekend. Yet I'm struggling a little bit with this one because I think while the San Francisco team is so well coached, I think Kyle Shanahan's also in the running for coach of the year. The Cowboys blew out the Bucks last night. I mean, the Cowboys looked unstoppable offensively. Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz looked fantastic at tight end. It's really tough for me, and I don't see exactly how the 49ers are going to stop Dallas. I know San Fran has a great defense, but it's really hard to stop a team with that many weapons. And I think the Cowboys might have an easier time playing defense against the Niners. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence coming off the edge straight at rookie quarterback Brock Purdy, I think will give him problems. Nothing he can't deal with, but it's going to take some adjusting throughout the first quarter, I think. I think the Cowboys could jump out to an early lead in this one, which is not something the Niners will be used to seeing coming from behind with Brock Purdy. But I think that the Niners have the talent to prevail in this one. I think with Deebo Samuel back, Deebo was unbelievable last weekend against the Seahawks. Christian McCaffrey played well. Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Brock Purdy was fantastic at the helm. I think this could be a really good one, and I think this could fully be a shootout as well. I'm gonna take the Niners in a close one on this one. I think it'll be a one-score game for the Niners. But crazy pick, I think it could also be a complete blowout in Dallas's favor. I think if Brock Purdy has a hard time adjusting to the Dallas defense, this could be a blowout like we haven't seen yet this playoffs. But that being said, I do think the Niners are good enough to adjust. I think Kyle Shanahan is good enough to adjust, and it won't happen. But I could definitely see it. So I'm gonna take the Niners, but it's a hesitant Niners pick.
Yeah. I picked Dallas, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even really that confident. The reason why is because I knew Dallas were a much better team than Tampa Bay, and that week showed it. But I didn't know if Dallas could get over that their playoff demons, as they've shown really in the entire 21st century. But they did. Dak Prescott, absolutely phenomenal. He was probably the best quarterback performance on Wild Card Weekend. Was literally flawless. And now you go against the San Francisco team, and I think these are probably, in my opinion, actually no, them with Philly, the three most balanced teams in the league. All of these teams, I think, have very few weaknesses. So I think this is the week where Brock Purdy really doesn't necessarily have an implosion, because I don't think that's really possible.
I think he can have a
you're in that
horrible game, but
49ers
he'll
offense.
still be the starter next year.
But
what he's done is
I think
fantastic.
He's done fantastic. But I think the issue is that even in the Seattle game, Seattle do not have a good defense. He looked at the beginning, he looked a bit shaky, and people will forget that, because in the second half, obviously, he turned it around because Shanahan, I think, receivers were getting open. But credit to him, he did well. But I think a lot of those receivers are getting open, and I don't know if he will have the same amount of time he had against Seattle. I don't know if the receivers will be getting open the same amount as they were against Seattle. And I think Dak Prescott he proved that he can do it in the playoffs. And I think obviously against a tougher Niners defense, he's going to be able to put up points. Him and CeeDee Lamb, who started off the season very overrated and ended it very underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Dallas, I know I last year it was the exact same matchup. I picked the upset in San Francisco. This year I'm going to pick the upset in Dallas. I think Dallas are going to make it an all NFC East championship. I know 3 out of the 4 teams are the NFC East.
Yeah.
The NFC Beast. I think it's going to be Cowboys and Eagles.
What a turnaround, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
But I'm gonna go with Serge here. I think, and again, as much as I hate to pick the Cowboys, I think I actually agree with you. I think we could be very wrong, and me and Serge could be looking very stupid, but I think the Brock Purdy moment of just a little bit of I think
Just the rookie
he's
moment,
got
like
a
the
crack at some point. And Charlie, I think this is a very, that being said, Serge, I do think this is a easy way out per se, but I think it has to be said because it has to happen at some moment. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. There's a chance it doesn't happen. But
But I think
if he won a
like
Super
yeah, go
Bowl,
ahead.
I would be absolutely shocked. I guess not though. The Niners are a very good team. It's a tough one, but I think it'll happen. The Cowboys completely proved me wrong last night. I thought that would not be the game it was, and it was. So I think that made no sense. I didn't think that the game would pan out like that, and it did. So I'm gonna go for Dallas here. I think
Yeah.
they're rolling right now.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
think, we're kind of underestimating Brock Purdy here.
Oh, no. I think
Brock Purdy's an NFL quarterback who has never lost a game. And I think that it I think for that streak to end in as good of a Niners team this is, it's gonna have to come against a lot better of a team than the Dallas Cowboys, who have been super streaky this season and have had moments where they've looked really good, like last night, and have had moments where they look really bad, like against, Washington or Detroit. But I think that you're right. This is definitely the game where it could happen. The Dallas Cowboys have one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best. But the Niners also have one of the best offenses in the league. I don't think we can forget. And in a game that might come down to a kick,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to say it, but Brent Maher missed
Ooh.
4 extra points last night.
Yep.
I wouldn't
Maybe
even
they're
And
miss
looking for
four
a new
extra
kicker.
I
points.
think
Who
they should
knows?
be picking up a new kicker as week goes, but he's been their guy all season, and he's been phenomenal all season. He's been dead eye kicker. He's missed only 3 extra points this season. He
Maybe
missed
maybe
four
that
last
one
night.
extra
I wouldn't
maybe
even.
that
Yeah,
one
but
extra
Charlie,
point he
even
made at the end will give him
Charlie,
confidence.
still 3 extra points is still not great. Like you shouldn't be
But three
missing
extra
an extra
points
point.
through 18 games where they scored a lot of, or 17 games where they scored a lot of touchdowns. 3 extra points is 3 extra points. It's not a lot. Kickers miss extra points.
Yeah.
To miss 4 in one big
Oh yeah.
playoff
No. Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
I mean, you could see how upset Dak Prescott was with him.
Mhm.
They kept putting up points just for him to keep missing extra points, and they lost confidence in him. They had a field goal opportunity on 4th down from, I believe, inside the red zone where they went for it, and obviously scored a touchdown on it. But yeah, I think I will take the Niners, but I could again totally see you guys being right. The Dallas Cowboys could win this one.
And there we have it. Thank you all so much for watching. Let us know your picks down below. Obviously, we're very excited to be watching this game this weekend. Me and Charlie will be sweating out that Giants Eagles game, but we'll see you next week, and we'll either be very happy or we will be very.
Or we
I
won't
won't
be
even be
here.
sad. Yeah, but thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow us on social media to follow us daily, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching.